There are 6 keys to unlock your personal and professional power, your purpose and passion. The first key to unlocking it is your mentors and teachers. The reason why that this one is the foundation of where we want to spend our time in is because it is absolutely imperative that we understand the importance of the mentors and teachers and where they are at all the time in the existence of our lives. People will tell me that, well, I don't have any mentors or teachers. And I simply tell them, you do have mentors and teachers. Because we're all being educated by someone, something, or our own thoughts continuously. And see, what ends up happening is we all have this garden in our mind. And if we don't constantly tend to the garden of our mind, what will end up happening is the weeds take over. The weeds of anxiety, the weeds of depression, the weeds of less than what we could potentially do with our lives. But when we bring on the right mentors and teachers, which is the books we read, the people we hang out with, what we listen to, and our associations, like the Dental Festival and everybody here. There is also the negative. So what we watch on TV, did you know that the average American spends 4.5 hours watching TV? And when I say TV, that can be Hulu, that can be Netflix, that can be whatever it needs to be. 4.5 hours. And people say, well, I don't have time for education. I say, you make time for what you make time for. Now, if I don't have permission to coach somebody, by the way, do I have permission to coach this room? Yes? Okay. So if I don't have permission to coach and I say things like that to people, they're like, that dude is ignorant and a jerk and beep, all these other things. But if we can talk frankly here about what we need to pay attention to, because that environment of mentors and teachers is absolutely imperative, and we create our environment. We don't just create the environment for ourselves, but we create the environments for our kids, for those that have kids, for our family, for our spouses, for our significant others, for whoever it may be. And people want to blame everything else. If you want to look at a picture of an iceberg, so if I had a big picture of an iceberg right here, and this is just the tip of it, people will place most of the blame on the tip of the iceberg for why they aren't or haven't arrived at the place in life or their profession. When in reality, it's what's below the surface that makes the biggest impact on the next point of knowledge and education. So we have 1, mentors and teachers, and 2, knowledge and education. Again, people will tell me, well, I don't have time for this, or I don't have time for that. The other day during COVID, when we were looking at everything that was happening there, I just went back and I looked at, and I was doing my taxes because I do write off my Audible books on my taxes because it's education. I spent 3 times more money during COVID on Audible than at any point in time in my life. Getting educated in the net time, the no extra time. Because that knowledge and education is what's going to drive us. It's what's going to enlighten us. I went to an event, much like this one, about 20 years ago. In that event, they started asking different questions and had us dreaming and believing different things. They said that we could pay off our house if we wanted to. My wife and I were 20 years old at the time. We bought a house, moved into it at 21. And what ended up happening is our belief and the knowledge and education that we had to have to pay off the house started to become a reality. Well, then what ends up happening is it leads to the next phase. So, like, I got my shirt, so I give props to a couple people in here. Thank you, Mom. Right, I'm sure she's watching. So she did this on her Cricut or her Silhouette. But it leads to our beliefs and dreams, which is the third point. So our beliefs and dreams, it changed into, well, what would it look like for us to pay off our house? What would it look like if we had no debt? And for the professional person, what would it look like if we didn't have any debt, and then we were free to do whatever we wanted, however we wanted, to be able to make the impact in people's lives that we wanted? Ultimately unlocking, right? Unlocking, starting to even become more unleashed to fulfill our purpose and passion and what we're supposed to make a difference in the people around us. You see, everything that I do, whether it's in this stage or one-on-one conversations, is to look people in the eyes and find out what they want with their life and how I can add value to them. When I find out that I can add value to everybody else, what ends up happening is I help everybody, and Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. So when the focus is on others, and I find out what your beliefs and dreams are, then what ends up happening is that fuels my beliefs and dreams. Some of you I met at the last dental festival back in April, even though I keep on saying it's like last year, but it feels like last year, but back in April. And I am so inspired by the conversations that we got to have when we caught up about some of you making a transition into your beliefs and dreams on where you're to make your biggest impact. And so the quality of the beliefs and dreams that we have makes a impact on the quality of questions we ask. So if you're going to have a quality of question you ask, and let's say that it's to have a paid off house, and you sign up just like everybody else. Remember, if we go all the way back to mentors and teachers, the mentors and teachers is society. It is what we see. It is the normal. And we go sign up for a 30-year mortgage. And we go, okay, well, we make these payments for 30 years. Well, what if you didn't have to make those payments for 30 years? And see, I'm not talking about a mortgage payment. I'm just talking about how you live life with everything. Whether you're looking at a weight loss goal, whether you are looking at a debt payoff goal, whether you are trying to grow your practice, whether you're trying to sell your practice, it doesn't matter. We've got to ask different questions, because the questions that I had to ask that made the difference between saying, what would it look like to pay my house off in 30 years versus paying off my house in 5.5 years, was different questions. And I didn't soften it. And then what ended up happening is, because I asked different questions, we had to make different decisions. We were also in college, going to college full time, married, paying for school, paid off the house. How did we do that? Hi, my name is Anthony Blanco, and at one point in time, my wife and I were trash pickers. This is back before all the internet stuff. So we were literally taking things out of garbage, furniture, vacuums, and we were placing it in our front yard to sell it. We were cleaning houses, plus we worked full time, plus we went to school full time. But we didn't use softeners because we had a dream to have a paid off house. And you know what? You also have to tell the right people, the right mentors and teachers, about your beliefs and dreams. I heard somebody say it earlier, like your trust team or trust squad, or I don't really like that. Tell your trust squad. Because those people's belief in you will fuel you to do what you need to do. Because I told this gal, let's call her Sandy. I told Sandy at the age of 21, she told me I was naive, I was ignorant, and I was silly, and I had no clue about the real world. She said, you will not pay off your house in 5 years. And she was right. We paid off our house in 2.5 years. And you know how bad I wanted to send Sandy a paid off mortgage notice? But I didn't, because I'm humble most of the time. But the decisions that we make impact, what's the next one? The actions we take. And because we're taking different actions, we're going to come to a new conclusion. But if we don't start with the mentors and teachers as a foundation, by what we put in our head on a regular basis, then we're going to be stuck in a pattern of what we know. And I've heard the word said once or twice today about not just being unlocked, but to being unleashed. And then when we are unleashed, we can live that undeniable story. But first, we have to go into a place where we are in self-discovery through what other people say, not what they say about us, but through other trusted, great people. So I implore you to think through these 6 keys, right? Mentors and teachers, key number 1. Key number 2, knowledge and wisdom. Key number 3, beliefs and dreams. Key number 4, it's going to make an impact on the questions you ask. And key number 5, the actions you take. Thank you.